I have done a Stickman Parkour animation in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. Let's see how that went. You know, you can do many things in 10 seconds, but you can't make decent animation in that time. I can't even land the Stickman in that 10 seconds. He just stopped in the air. His life is stuck in that phase. I drew a black obstacle just like the previous one. I copied the object for a few frames and drew on those frames. It was a total of 5 frames. This time I was able to land the Stickman on the other side. This action is like hurdles. Good enough. I decided to create small obstacles for the parkour. I used a baseline this time. I drew a box and then a slope. In between them, I drew spikes to add some spice to the animation. I completed the obstacles in 2 minutes. Then I started adding the Stickman. I used a blue Stickman here. Mostly I drew straight ahead. From his starting position to the ending position, I didn't draw any keyframes. As I completed the 5 minutes, I realized that it would be difficult for our Stickman to reach the top in time. So he lost his footing and fell backward on the spikes. I kept 2 to 3 minutes to add the head. In the last 20 seconds, I added one in-between frame, and our animation was ready. He could not reach the top in 10 minutes. Well tried. I thought about an underworld background, like an underground volcano. Besides lava, I added the mountains behind it. The background actually plays an important role in animation. That's why I always prefer a background in 1-hour animation. I added some highlights and shadows for the mountains. After finishing the background, I added the obstacles. These were simple to draw. I completed this background in 19 minutes. So, I had 41 minutes in hand for the animation. I chose the black Stickman because he was the only one who was able to contrast the fiery background. He jumps on the pointed pillar, swings on the ropes, and reaches the other side. That's what I decided. You can see here that the ropes are part of the background. I could have drawn them while animating the Stickman, but they were useful to determine the exact position of the ropes and swinging animation. When 9 minutes were remaining, I added the head. It took 4 minutes to add the head. In the last minutes, I added some in-between frames and ropes, and our animation was ready. I decided to make this animation with some life-threatening objects like rotating blades, spikes, and also climbing down with the help of a rope. I made the blades symmetrical, using the grid and lasso rotation pointer. As I had a rough sketch of the background, I had an idea about where to put the obstacles. I also put one crushing hydraulic press at the end. After that, I started animating the blades first, and then I animated the hydraulic press. I also added multiple flame guns on top and bottom of the surface at a fixed position. I added a laser and an electric laser in between them. Animating all these together and timing them was a difficult task. It was going to be a looping background, but it was different from any other animated background I had done before. After adding some details, the animated background was ready after 2 hours and 2 minutes. For our main animation, I decided to include 4 characters here. I chose red, blue, black, and green colored Stickmen here. Initially, I wanted to make this animation at 24 frames per second, but I realized that it would take more time and I would not be able to finish the animation in 10 hours, including the 4. So I used 12 frames per second here, as same as background animation. Black goes first and gets done and dusted. Red follows him. He gets rid of the blocker man and gets ahead. He tries to climb the ceiling but gets punched hard, but he doesn't give up. I wanted him to try a quicker way to reach the lower level, but he gets thrown away by a mechanical hand and goes back to where he was. About 95% of the time, I did this animation straight ahead because I had to animate different stickmen in the same frame. After the red's animation, I started adding the green stickman. At this moment, I already passed the halfway mark, so I also added a blue stickman interacting with the green. After blue reached the lower level, I started adding the head. I did this only to adjust the remaining time and end the animation accordingly. Until now, you could see I have used only still background, because sometimes I needed to add in between frames, which isn't possible if I add an animated background. Finally, I added the background animation to the project because our stickmans were going to interact with the surroundings. Blue gets stuck in the fire guns and gets shocked by the electric laser. He falls to the ground. Then I decided to animate the fate of the green, which was just to die while chasing the blue stickman. I didn't give him the plot armor. Finally, only two were remaining. I first added blue stickman, and then added red's last dance. You can tell what happened, but I would like you to see that in the result. In the last 20 minutes, I added the remaining heads and drew some effects that were necessary for the animation. After fixing some mistakes, our animation was ready for the premiere. Thanks for watching.